our mind and our breath. Holding poses with our breath, moving with our breath, moving almost like we're in slow motion and following that breath. Today, we'll look at mobilizing our spines. Yes, all these exercises seem really easy because they are. We want them to be easy. We want to have no reason not to do these exercises. Soon, they'll become a lot more challenging, but for now, we're really trying to create a solid foundation. Like, subscribe, and hit notify if you want to keep in touch, and skip ahead if you've already heard this introduction. It's mostly agreed that you need to have good nutrition, good sleep, good exercise, and good mental hygiene if you want to be performing at your best. Likely, you're already working on some or all of these aspects, and that's why you found this. And we'll continue to work on these aspects together. What you may not be doing, though, is joining all these aspects and having them work together in unison. As I've said, yoga is by definition unison or connection. And that's why it's a great place to start, especially the type of yoga that we do here, which is consciously bringing all these things, all these aspects into unison. So you need to do one of these videos though every single day. That's why we don't want to injure ourselves by pushing too hard or straining. We don't want to have any reason not to be able to do these exercises tomorrow. So it's stretching, yes, but not straining. And as I've said, they can all be done super quickly. They're not long exercises. You throw down your mat, you create a small space. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. It's all free. All you need is your body. Today, we look at mobilizing parts of our body, mainly our back. Nothing that I say on this channel should supersede what you and your healthcare professional are doing. In fact, always talk to a healthcare professional before you try something new. I am not a healthcare professional. Many people have back pain. It could be low grade, constant. It's a complaint that many people have. Pain's something that we deal with all the time, and it really does stop us from feeling better. And for some people, a lot of people, that pain can be because our body has been frozen in position. It's locked in place from sitting too much, from driving too much, from being on our phones, from all those things that we agree are probably not good for our back. So today we're going to start unlocking parts of our body. Like I said, we want to stretch, but we don't want to strain. Do this video every day until it becomes really easy. And then you'll move on to the next video. And key here is your breath. Remember to breathe in to lengthen and open up, and then breathe out to relax into that opening that you've created. Here's how to do the moves. Okay, so let's quickly go through the moves that we're going to do today. They're super simple. Remember, this is about stretching, but not straining. We want to open up and mobilize our back a little bit of different ways, our upper back, our lower back, and we're going to do this with the help of our breath. We'll start at the back of our mat just to do a sort of little warm up at the beginning. We'll breathe in and out 3 times and expel all that all the air in our lungs that we usually do. We're going to do what's called a cross-legged forward fold is what we call it, where you reach out. As you breathe in, you create some space, and as you breathe out, you sort of relax, and you'll find that you can go deeper and deeper. But you don't want to go too far. If this is as far as you can go, if this is as far as you can go, that's all you want to do. You just want to create the sensation in your back of starting to stretch. Next, we'll go into what's a classic pose. It's called a child's pose. You can have your knees either apart or in. I like them apart, and your toes almost touching at the back, and the key here is staying seated on your heels. And again, a little bit like that forward fold, you want to pull forward, and as you breathe in, you'll be able to go down maybe until your forehead goes to the ground, but if it doesn't, that's okay as well. You're just, again, trying to create that sensation in the back here, and keeping your hips on your heels is the key part, and just sort of stretching through your back. Then we'll go into tabletop, which is keeping your knees below your hips and your wrists below your shoulders, creating a tabletop. And this goes into a classic pose called the cow pose, which is where you drop your belly and you stick your butt sort of up in the air, sort of creating space right here. You do that on an in-breath. We'll be holding it, and then we'll also go into the complementary pose, which is cat pose, which is a bit like your cat being afraid. You sort of pull your shoulder blades apart, pushing but not straining, and pushing against the ground to make some space. Then back into tabletop again, and then into what's called puppy pose. It looks a little bit like puppies do in the morning when they stretch or play. Your knees below your hips in this case, your arms going forward. Again, don't strain, trying to keep it straight. Trying to keep a straight line from here to your hips. And again, as you breathe in, you create more space and maybe put your forehead to the ground. You keep going with that. But again, there's no need to stretch. You're gonna do this a few days in a row and you'll find yourself getting better and better each day. And then finally, we'll sort of slowly move down onto the ground and then up into what's called Sphinx pose. And it is like the Sphinx as you might think of. Your elbows are below your shoulders. Your gaze is sort of looking a little bit down or straight ahead. You can open up your legs a little bit if it's more comfortable, and you keep your butt flexed the whole time, and that'll keep your spine engaged properly. And you'll just hold there like the Sphinx. You'll come back down. We'll shake it out a little bit just to loosen everything back, and then push it back up to child's pose, which is where we started from. And that's a good place to sort of start and relax and get everything going. Okay, so let's go and do this exercise now. Moving on to the movements, starting at the back of the mat or the back of the space that you've created in a cross-legged position. We're going to do twice this sort of bent over cross-legged position, one with our legs crossed one way, and then we'll switch our legs crossed the other way. Don't strain, go down as far as you can, but not in a way that is going to hurt yourself. We want to be doing this again tomorrow, okay? So starting at the back of the mat, as always, we're going to get in touch with our breath. We're going to breathe in 3 big breaths and 3 big breaths out through our mouth. So in through our nose. And let's bend over, breathing only through our nose, stretch it as far as you can, and just relax into this fold for 5 breaths. Let's sit up, cross our legs the other way. Same thing, reach out as much as you can. As you breathe in, you create some space. As you breathe out, you relax into that space that you've created. Roll over into tabletop position, and then our bellies sink down into cow and our head tilt up for 5 breaths. frightened cat. Back to tabletop. Now into what's called puppy pose. Hands forward. Your forehead down to the ground. Your knees over and your hips in line. Stretching out and breathing for 5 breaths. Back up to tabletop, and then we're going to slowly lower ourselves down into what's called Sphinx pose. Elbows below your shoulder, again for 5 breaths. Keep your butt flexed so that it takes some stress off your back. Open your legs a little bit if you want to have a little bit more space in your back to move by. Don't overstrain this, don't over push. You can always come down a little bit. You're just trying to get that movement going. Drop right down onto your belly. You can just move your hips around a little bit. It'll sort of loosen up your hips. You put your hands beside your hips and you're going to push back into child's pose. Again, your toes touching, your knees apart for me, and your head resting down on the mat. Now this time we're going to move through these with our breath really slowly, almost like we're in slow motion. And we'll do that just a couple of times, just so we can sort of flow with this. So starting off in child's pose, just take a breath to center. Keep your hips down onto your knees. That's the key part here, and you'll feel that stretch in the lower back. And breathe in up to tabletop. Breathe out. Breathe in and drop into cow. Breathe out into cat. Breathe into cow. Breathe out to cat. Once more. Out to cat. Breathe out to puppy. Breathe out to relax into it. Breathe in back and breathe out. Breathe in the Sphinx and breathe out to flat. And back to child's pose. Take a second and we'll do the whole thing again. Nice and smooth, like we're going in slow motion. Into tabletop. Out to relax. Into cow. Out to cat. Into cow. Out to cat. Into cow. Out to cat. Into tabletop. Out to puppy. Into tabletop. Out to the floor. Into Sphinx. Out to the floor. Loosen your hips. And then back to happy baby. To a child's pose. One last time. Into tabletop. Into cow. Out to cat. Cow. Cat. Cow. Cat. Push off the floor. Tabletop. Puppy. Tabletop, slowly to the floor. Sphinx. Or loosen your hips. And let's end in child's pose. All right. Do this over a few days. Feel your spine loosening up. Feel everything in your lower back loosening up. Feel your shoulders stretching out, creating everything smooth and straight, and just moving around. We're just don't push too hard. We're just loosening up everything, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Always talk to your healthcare professional before starting a new regime. If you experience pain, discomfort, or dizziness, slow down or stop. These videos will become easier each day, but if it doesn't feel right today, go slower or move to another video. Listen to your body.